Alright, since this was suggested by, I hate you, by absolutely no one, and I've been dying to do this. Not really, I just thought about it like 20 minutes ago and have like tried to stop myself from making a video about this right at the moment. But you know, here we are now. So, a lot of good those 20 minutes did for me. Actually no, I like my hood on. So, what we're going to do is, I'm going to read you guys. Let's hope you guys can stomach it. I keep looking over there because that's where I usually have the camera. Like, it's usually always on the right side instead of on the left. So, if I look this way, I'm sorry. It's just what I'm used to. So, or if I look dead into my eyes on the camera. Anyways, so, I'm going to be reading some fairy tales for you guys. Alright? Some fairy tales. And these fairy tales, like I said, I hope you have the stomach for this stuff, because we are going into the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. So, let's do this. There are over, I don't know, there are hundreds of stories in here. It's a thick book, yo. Thick book. Alright, so I need to have it like this so I can read real quick, or see which one I want to do. I guess let's do Rapunzel first, which is 84. '83, 84. Alright. I'm taking off my hood. Okay. Just for record, I'm not the greatest at reading out loud, so yeah. Be prepared for a lot of stuttering and having to go back on words. Yeah. There once was a man and a woman who had long in vain wished for a child. At length, the woman hoped that God was about to grant her desire. These people had a little window in the back of their house from which a splendid garden could be seen, which was full of the most beautiful flowers and herbs. It was, however, surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to go into it because it belonged to an enchantress, who had great power and was dreaded by all the world. One day the woman was standing by this window and looking down into the garden, when she saw a bed was planted in the most beautiful rampon, and in caption it says Rapunzel. It looked so fresh and green that she longed for it and had the greatest desire to eat some. So I'm guessing rampon is a plant called Rapunzel. This desire increased every day, and as she knew that she could not get any of it, she quite pined away and looked pale and miserable. Also, get ready for unwanted commentary. I love me some unwanted commentary. Although it's not going to be that much because I'm trying to read here, so yeah. Then her husband was alarmed and asked, "What aileth thee, dear wife?" "Ah," she replied, "ah, if I can't get some of the rampion which is in the garden behind our house to eat, I shall die." Dramatic. The man who loved her thought, "Sooner than let thy wife die, bring her some of the rampion thyself, let it cost thee what it will." In the twilight of the evening he clambered down over the wall into the garden of the enchantress, hastily clutched a handful of rampion, and took it to his wife. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Rampion. Rampion. She at once made herself a salad of it and ate it with much relish. She, however, liked it so much, so very much, that the next day she longed for it 3 times as much as before. If he was to have any rest, her husband must once again descend into the garden in the gloom of evening. Therefore, he let himself down again. But when he had clambered down the wall, he was terribly afraid, for he saw the enchantress staring before him. "How canst thou dare," said she with an angry look, "to descend into my garden and steal my rampion like a thief? Thou shalt suffer for it." "Ah," he answered, "let mercy take its place of justice. I only made up my mind to do it out of necessity. My wife saw your rampion from the window and felt such a longing for it that she would have died if she had not got some to eat." Then the enchantress allowed her anger to be softened, and said to him, "If the case as thou sayest, I will allow thee to take away with thou as much rampion as thou wilt. Only I make one condition: thou must give me the child that which thy wife will bring into the world. It will be treated, and I will take care for it like a mother." The man in his terror consented to everything, and when the woman was brought to bed, the enchantress appeared at once, gave the child the name of Rapunzel, and took it away with her. Rapunzel grew into the most beautiful child beneath the sun. When she was 12 years old, the enchantress shut her into a tower which lay in the forest. It had neither stairs nor door, but quite at the top was a little window. When the enchantress wanted to go, I can't talk properly. Enchantress wanted to go in. She placed herself beneath and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair to me." Rapunzel had magnificent long hair, fine as spun gold, and when she heard the voice of the enchantress, she unfastened her braided tresses, wound them round one of the hooks from the window above, and then the hair fell 20 ells down, and the enchantress climbed up by it. After a year or two, it came to pass that the king's son rode through the forest and went by the tower, when he heard a song which was so charming that he stood still and listened. This was Rapunzel, who in her solitude passed her time in letting her sweet voice resound. The king's son wanted to climb up to her, and looked for a door of the tower, but none was to be found. He rode home, but the singing had so deeply touched his heart that every day he went out to the forest and listened to it. Once, when he was thus standing beneath a tree, he saw that the enchantress came there, and heard how she cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair." Then Rapunzel let down the braids of her hair, and the enchantress climbed up to her. If that is the ladder by which one mounts, I will for once try my fortune," he said. And the next day it began to grow dark. When it began to grow dark, he went to the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair." How do you not mistake a man's voice for a stranger man's voice for the woman familiar voice that you've heard all your life? Immediately the hair fell down, and the king's son climbed up. At first Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man such as her eyes had never yet beheld. Came to her. But the king's son began to talk to her quite like a friend, and told her that his heart had been so stirred that it had let him have no rest. I need my glasses. I lost them though, so yeah. Told her that his heart has been stirred and let him have no rest, and he had been forced to see her. Then Rapunzel lost her fear, and when he asked her if she would take him for her husband, she saw that he was young and handsome. She thought, he will love me more than that old Dame Gothel does. And she said yes, and laid her hand in his. She said, I will willingly go away with thee, but I do not know how to get down. Bring me thee a skin of silk every time that thou comest. I will weave a ladder with it, and when that is ready, I will descend, and thou wilt take me on thy horse. Bold of you to assume the horse can carry you and all your hair. Hey! Sky! Sorry. Get away! Alright. Okay. Nope. You're staying here. Alright? You're gonna read a book with me, alright? They agreed that until that time, he should come to her every evening, for the old woman came by day. The enchantress remarked nothing of this until once Rapunzel told her, once Rapunzel said to her, Tell me, Dame Gothel, how it happens that you are so much heavier for me to draw up than the young king's son. He is with me in a moment. Ah, thou wicked child, cried the enchantress. She's gonna attack you. What do I hear thee say? I thought I had separated thee from all the world, and yet thou hast deceived me. In her anger she clutched Rapunzel's beautiful tresses, wrapped them twice round her left hand, seized a pair of scissors in the right, and snip, snip, they were cut off. The lovely braids lay on the ground, and she was so pitiless that she took poor Rapunzel into a desert where she had to live in great grief and misery. On the same day, however, that she cast out Rapunzel, the enchantress in the evening fastened the braids of her hair, which she had cut off, to the hook of the window, and when the king's son came and cried, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down thy hair, she let the hair down. The king's son ascended, but he did not find his dearest Rapunzel above, but the enchantress, who gazed at him with wicked and venomous looks. Aha! She cried mockingly, thou wouldest fetch thy dearest, but the beautiful bird sits no longer singing in the nest. A cat has got it, and will scratch out thy eyes as well. Rapunzel is lost to thee, thou wilt never see her more. The king's son was beside himself with pain, and in his despair he leapt down from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the thorns into which he fell pierced his eye. Then he wandered quite blind about the forest, ate nothing but roots and berries, and did nothing but lament and weep over the loss of his dearest wife. Thus he roamed about in misery for some years, and at length came to the desert where Rapunzel with the twins to which she had given birth, a boy and a girl, lived in wretchedness. He heard a voice, and it seemed so familiar to him that he went towards it, and when he approached, Rapunzel knew him and fell on his neck and wept. 2 of her tears wetted his eyes, and they grew clear again, and he could see with them as before. He led her to his kingdom, where he was joyfully received, and they lived a long time afterwards, happy and contented. Is that? I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah. Alright. So that's Rapunzel. Yeah. Sky, what do you think? What do you think about Rapunzel? You like it? Maybe? No? Yeah. Alright. So that's it. Yeah. Peace out.